Good morning and welcome back. We have some very good clips today, short ones from Kennedy and from Trump. Kennedy is quietly flying under the radar, which is awesome, doing some amazing things for our health, for the health of our nation, the health of our country, and really trying to go back to where we can be the model for the whole world because the world needs health. Without healthy people, we ain't going to have too many people in general. But before we get to that, one of the other things regarding health, I would suppose another type of health is going right here to the Kennedy Center. So, the health of the Kennedy Center, getting away from the woke nonsense. I'm going to play a little bit of this. Well, I'll play the whole thing. It's only 30 seconds long.
We're here to have our first board meeting, Kennedy Center. I think it's important to save this. It has tremendous potential. This represents a very important part of D.C. and actually our country. Come here and watch it, and you'll see over a period of time it'll improve very greatly physically. We're going to make a lot of changes, including the seats, the decor, pretty much everything. It needs a lot of work. We want to do it right.
A lot of work. It sure does need a lot of work. It surely does. So we'll see what happens with the Kennedy Center. I've never been to the Kennedy Center. I thought, hey, if you got a Kennedy Center, you got RFK Jr. there. Let's get him involved. But he's got a lot of very important stuff to worry about. The arts and all that stuff that can all wait for later. And I'm sure we'll see RFK Jr. Secretary, HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I'm sure we will eventually see him at the Kennedy Center. So the money, the waste is there, and that's how bad it is. You got to get the president there to take control of it personally. So fascinating times to me to see president leading the charge, leading the board, the first board meeting that they just had. So I thought that was pretty exciting. Some other exciting news here that we have, and if you're not following Kennedy, if you don't know where to follow Kennedy, make sure that you do that here. Secretary Kennedy. Is this playing? No, it's not. Oh, I'm just going to talk to myself. Secretary Kennedy here on X. So at Sec Kennedy. Also HHS Gov. Make sure that you check out the YouTube channel. And I'm going to play a few things from the YouTube channel, the HHS YouTube channel too. But a lot of that you'll find here. What's a little frustrating is sometimes you look here and you see something and then you look on YouTube and it's not there. The same things are not there.
The message I want to give to the country.
I keep saying I'm going to play a little bit of this. Well, I'm going to play the whole thing. It's only 1 minute and 13 seconds.
Let's give the warmest West Virginia welcome to HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
I'm Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the United States Secretary for Health and Human Services. I'm here today to commend and to honor Governor Morrissey for being the first in the nation to apply for a SNAP waiver to get sodas, sugar drinks off of food stamps.
The things we're doing today to incentivize use of healthier food and stop all this taxpayer subsidizing of soda and all the crap that's out there. I think it's a great step forward.
The message that I want to give to the country today and to all the other governors is get in line behind Governor Morrissey.
It's an incredible day for public health in West Virginia and across the country. You see the kids, you see the parents, you see the maha moms. People love you, they love our president, and we're excited about it.
We're going to see a lot.
The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
We're going to see a lot more of this as RFK Jr. continues to take lead, to take charge, and to make drastic differences in HHS. As we recently found out, the Department of Education, most of that, some of that, a lot of that hopefully is going to be swallowed under HHS going forward. So a lot of powerful things are happening. A lot of good things are happening. And I am very excited to see that MAGA and maha working together, hitting the system on all sides, forcing the crazies who once thought they were on the good side to realize you're not on the right side here, and it's time to make a change. Enough is enough. It's time for a change. Well, the change is coming. And the change is coming very rapidly, so rapidly that people can't pay attention to everything. So while they focus on Elon Musk and focus on Tesla, the work is getting done. A lot of great things are happening. And hey, they can't protest everything. They will choose their battles wisely, hopefully. So I could put this down a little bit. It's a little better. It's a little better. So, and we will see what happens in the near future. Still, it's a little dark in here. I need some better lighting. My lighting is terrible. I've never had really good lighting. And that's what happens when you are in a basement, apparently. Okay, so that was RFK Jr., one of the latest videos. This came out, just about an hour ago.
Let's give the war.
And because I saw one or two other ones. Let's see. At HHS, we are making major reforms to ensure our food supply is healthy for all Americans. Operation Stork Speed will expand options for safe, reliable, and nutritious infant formula for American families. Now, my friend Crip Rick and I were just discussing this privately about formula, baby formula, what goes in it. And at the very least, people need to be able to make choices or to understand what is in this before they can realize how bad this stuff is. And some people still won't, but at least you have the knowledge to know. And what's sad is a lot of people don't have the money to afford good formula, to afford good food. And that's really sad. So I want to hear that.
We're spending more on diet.
I don't know if this is new or if this is old, but it's another 1 minute clip.
I am narrowly focused, not on politics, but on making my agency serve the American people and making America healthy again. We launched Operation Stork Speed to improve our capacity to have good, nutritious baby formula for the American public that doesn't have heavy metals or other poisons in it. We've met with the major food processors and told them we want chemical dyes out of all of our foods, that we want to reduce the sugar. We are reforming the SNAP program so that we're not poisoning kids. 10% of SNAP is now spent on soda drinks, which are giving diabetes to children, which 38% of American teens are now pre-diabetic or diabetic. When I was a kid, it was 0. Today, it's 38% of our teens, 50% of our adults. We're spending more on diabetes now than we're spending on the military budget. It's going to sink our country, and we are starting kids addicted to these sugar drinks when they're very young in poor communities. We're getting rid of that. So, we're reforming every part of the agency to make sure that our food supply is good and that we have the healthiest kids in the world, which we had when I was a kid.
There it is. Great stuff. I'm just checking my audio to make sure it's holding on the right mic. Looks like it is. Well, that was a new one. I did not know that was out. So that means RFK Jr. was probably on Chris Cuomo's show recently. I got to go find that whole clip if it's out there, if it's available. Now, what is this here? Thank you, West Virginia Governor Mosley and legislators for leading the nation in passing a bill to clean up our food supply and submitting a waiver to remove soda from SNAP. I commend the 24 states pushing maha bills to clean up our food system, improve school lunches, submit waivers to SNAP, and promote patient choice. This state leadership adds leverage to the Trump administration's drive to make America healthy again. I urge every governor to follow West Virginia's lead and submit a waiver to the USDA to remove soda from SNAP. If there's one thing we can agree on, it should be eliminating taxpayer-funded soda subsidies for lower-income kids. I look forward to inviting every governor who submits a waiver to come celebrate with me at the White House this fall. Awesome. Thank you at USDA, at Secretary Rollins, for your leadership on this vital issue for children's health. And you can learn more here. HHS Gov, West Virginia. That's cool. Getting all of this stuff out for immediate release. HHS supports state legislation banning harmful food dyes from school lunches in West Virginia. Very cool. This is great. The red dye, da, 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 da. This is awesome. Maybe I can read this whole thing. It's kind of long. Martinsburg, West Virginia, U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. today joined West Virginia Governor Patrick Morrisey for a press conference at the St. Joseph School in Martinsburg, West Virginia. Oh, okay. So I got to find that press con. I think that's what they have linked to it. To celebrate the signing of new legislation banning 7 types of harmful food dyes from school lunches beginning August 2025. Governor Morrisey announced at the event that he intends to request a waiver to restrict taxpayer funds from being used to purchase soda through the SNAP program. West Virginia is leading the nation in passing a bill to clean up our food supply and submitting a waiver to remove soda from SNAP, Secretary Kennedy said. Lost my place. I commend the 24 states pushing maha bills to clean up our food system, improve school lunches, submit waivers. I urge we have read that. If there's one thing we can agree on, we read that too. Thank you, Secretary Rollins, for your leadership on this vital issue for children's health. In a state that has long faced some of the nation's most pressing public health challenges, the passage of House Bill 2354 represents a critical and timely advancement in the state's effort to promote the health of its residents. Beginning January 1st, 2028, the bill also prohibits the same 7 synthetic dyes, along with the preservation, I can't even, BPA, I'll just BHA, and probably paraben. What the heck these things are. That's why they shouldn't even be in food. But they are preservatives, obviously, and they are preventing them from being included in any food product sold within the state of West Virginia. That's pretty cool. So it's not just you do a little bit here, you do a little bit there, and pretty soon everybody jumps on board. Everybody is getting on this Trump train here, this maha train, and it's great to see this. It really is awesome. I'm so happy, so proud of our president, of the HHS secretary, and just the whole team, the whole group, for what they are doing to make this country great again. So maybe we didn't know how bad it was, but we do now. All right, Governor Morrisey is a visionary and willing to cut through the DC noise to help families move towards healthier behaviors and healthier outcomes, U.S. Department of Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins said. I look forward to receiving Governor Morrisey's SNAP pilot request and will work swiftly to make certain West Virginia is equipped with the technical assistance and expertise to move forward. I thank him for being a true partner. Together, we will make America great and healthy again. The West Virginia law establishes that the following food additives are hazardous to consume and cannot be used as an ingredient in any food served through a school nutrition program starting August 2025. And it's a summertime, so really will probably be, I guess actually no, everybody starts school now in August for whatever. That's okay, never mind. And then any food products sold starting January 1st, 2020. I wonder why they're waiting so long. I guess it just takes to undo all the harm takes some time. Apparently, I can't have everything today, is what you're telling me. But these are the ones they will be taken out here, and this is great. This is West Virginia, Mountain Mama. Great job there. West Virginia is strongly embracing the Make America Healthy Again movement, said West Virginia Governor Patrick Morrisey. We're getting junk out of our foods, promoting exercise, and putting nutrition back into SNAP. Thank you to Secretary Kennedy and Secretary Rollins for their commitment to ensuring the next generation of Americans lives a healthier and happier life. This is amazing. This is great stuff. And it's stuff you probably won't find on the news, on the mainstream news. You'll probably see it on Fox News. It'll probably come around. News Nation will probably have it because Kennedy is friends with Chris Cuomo. But aside from that, and the Hill, the Rising, you may see it pop up over there, pop up a little bit here, a little bit there. This is good stuff. Or what they're really going to do, if they really don't, they just want to make Kennedy look bad, they just won't even talk about it. It won't be a thing. People won't know about it until it happens, because if they bring it up, then people are going to question, why did it take all this? Why did it take right now for all this to happen? But we're going to get healthy again, America. Not only are we going to get great, we're going to get healthy. This country is going to thrive. We're right on track. we're doing the best that we can here. Okay. This gut ain't going to go away tomorrow, but it can go away. It can go away. It takes discipline, takes exercise, takes training, but it takes nutrition too. Years and years and years. And some people can do it quickly. I'm going to level it out a little bit and do it as much as I can. I don't drink soda anyway, so I'm not, not too worried about that. But there's always something that we can cut back on. There's always something that we can do better. My thing is not eating so late at night. I eat late at night because I barely eat breakfast. This is my breakfast. It's already 9:30 here, and this is my breakfast. No, you got to start the day out with a nice, healthy breakfast. Then you got to do some exercise. Then you got to do. It becomes a routine, and then it becomes a ritual, and then you say, "I'm not doing it anymore." So it's an ever-going, ongoing process. Saturday morning breakfasts are some of my favorites. Okay, I believe there is also, if I can switch my screen over again, I'm going to see, because underneath that is the full video. Now, this is a 53-minute video, obviously. So I'm not going to be able to play that whole thing here, but I am looking forward to it, and I'm
Not the way
maybe I can play
And
Kennedy's, a little bit of Kennedy's part here.
So it's my honor to be here today. I thank you all for coming. God bless you. Now, I'm going to take a moment and get ready to turn this over to his fine gentleman next to me. And I want to recognize someone who, quite frankly, has become one of the most talked about, most vilified men in America. You should be proud, Mr. Secretary, because I am of you. Because when the bureaucracy gets nervous, it sees real change coming. Secretary Kennedy has been willing to speak hard truths, take on powerful interests, and stand up for everyday Americans, even when it wasn't popular, even when it wasn't easy. He's not afraid of a fight, and that's exactly the kind of leadership we need in Washington.
Amen.
So today, on the heels of a major public health win in West Virginia, we are proud to stand with them. Please join me in welcoming a warrior for children, a man who refuses to back down, HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
The quality is terrible, but the message is good. That's what matters.
thank you, everybody. And thank you, Governor Morrissey. I'm very, very happy to be here at St. Joseph's, and I'm really happy to be here in West Virginia. I just want to say a few words about West Virginia, because West Virginia is a state that holds a special place in the hearts of every Kennedy. In the 1960 campaign, I was living in McLean, Virginia. But my parents disappeared into West Virginia for about 6 weeks. And we didn't see them, as well as all of my aunts. My uncle, President Kennedy, who was then in the Senate, was running for president. And the consensus wisdom around the country was that a Roman Catholic, could not be elected president of the United States. Al Smith had run against President Roosevelt. He was a Catholic from New York, Catholic governor, very, very popular. And when people found out that he was Catholic, there was a resurgence of the Ku Klux Klan. There were crosses burned all across the country. And he lost the election catastrophically. And people just felt, Americans felt, and the pundits all felt, that America would never elect a Catholic president. When my uncle decided to run for president, he knew that he had to win West Virginia. West Virginia had the lowest number of Catholics, less than 2% of the population was Catholic. And it was thought to be a place where there was a lot of anti-Catholic prejudice. It had voted overwhelmingly against Al Smith. it was critical to my uncle's campaign that he win this state and show the country that a Catholic could win presidency. Well, he came down to West Virginia, and his objective was to shake the hands of every person in West Virginia. And I think he came very close. And my parents came down, my uncles, my aunts, luckily we had a lot of Kennedys, and they all came down, and they spent time really getting to know the people in West Virginia and understanding the issues in the state, the problems, and those things stayed with him throughout his presidency. And on election day, he won the state of West Virginia overwhelmingly. And during his presidency, he always believed that he would not be president if he had not won this state. And he never forgot that relationship and that bond that he had formed and that so many members of my family had formed with the people in the state, the affection and the warmth with which they were greeted and embraced. And it's something that now, 70 years later, everybody in our family has this very, very strong affection and bond to this state. And I've been lucky enough that I've been able to spend a lot of my career doing work in this state, in the mining country, and trying to end pollution and give people a chance to live healthier lives. I want to thank Governor Morrissey for his visionary leadership. I got to know Governor Morrissey early in the transition. We were both down in Palm Beach working on the transition in Mar-a-Lago. And we were both invited to stay during that time at Dr. Oz's house. And I got to know, I said to Dr. Morris, or Governor Morrissey, the first time I saw him, I said, "You look like you ate Governor Morrissey." and there was a lot of talk about getting healthy again. And I'm very happy that he's invited me to be his personal trainer. And I am going to put him.
That's awesome.
I'm going to put him on a really rigorous regimen. And we're going to put him on a carnivore diet. We're going to make him raise your hand if you want Governor Morrissey to do a public weigh-in once a month. And then when he's lost 30 pounds, I'm going to come back to the state and do a celebration and a public weigh-in with him. And you're welcome, Denise. He left me an open door. So anyway, we have a public health crisis in this country. And unfortunately, West Virginia is leading the way. There's the highest obesity rate of any state in our country. This year, you pulled ahead of Mississippi as the highest rate of chronic disease in the country. And so I'm very, very grateful to Governor Morrissey for his visionary leadership in getting West Virginia to lead the way in transitioning off of processed foods. When my uncle was president, 3% of Americans had chronic disease. We spent zero on chronic disease in this country, zero. There was no medications for it. Today, we spend $1.3 trillion on chronic disease every year. It's about 90% of our healthcare budget. And for most of my life, the Republicans and Democrats have been fighting about a healthcare plan, about treatment, really a sick care plan, about how to treat all this illness. Should it be Obamacare, the affordable health plan? Should it be public-private partnership? Should it be a single payer? These are what the big battles that you read about on Capitol Hill. The real battle is that we're getting sicker and sicker every year. And it's really just a debate about who's going to pay the treatment. Nobody has been focused on how do we get ourselves less sick. And it's like moving deck chairs around on the Titanic. No matter what you do, our country is going to go bankrupt. It's now, when I was a kid, diabetes rates in children were almost zero. Juvenile diabetes, a typical pediatrician would see one case of diabetes in his lifetime over a 40 or 50-year career. Today, 1 out of every 3 kids who walks through his office door is pre-diabetic or diabetic. 38% of teens are now diabetic, 50% of adults. A few years ago, it's not a mystery about where this is coming from. 20 years ago, there was no diabetes in China. Today, 50% of the population is diabetic. Why is that? They built 20,000 fast food joints in China and started selling American processed food. And it is costing us, we are now paying more just for diabetes, mitochondrial dysfunction, than we are for our military. And, financially, it is bankrupting our country. We're now spending more to service our debt, and the biggest piece of that debt is coming from healthcare. We're now paying more to service it than we are for our military budget. Within about 10 years, if we continue on this trajectory, 50 cents out of every tax dollar that you pay to the federal government is going to go to servicing the debt. Within 15 years, 100%. It's not sustainable. It's existential. If you love our country, you got to take care of yourselves. President Trump said that he wants to make America healthy again, but he wants to make it strong again. We cannot have a strong country if we have sick citizens. President Trump says that he wants to restore the American dream. But a person who is healthy has 1,000 dreams. A person who is sick has only one. And there is 60% of our country now that has only one dream, which is to get better. And we need to give them a pathway to doing that. And the pathway is through food. Food is medicine. It treats us in different ways, and it treats our health. It treats our mental health. There was a recent study that showed that when they switched the diet in prisons, that violence went down to a whole food diet. That violence went down by about 70%. When they switched the diet in juvenile detention centers, the whole food diet, violence went down 100%. There's a scientist at Harvard now who is curing schizophrenia with a carnivore diet. So the loneliness, the dispossession, the crisis that we have in mental health, in suicide, in ADD, ADHD, all of these are linked, and particularly to the dyes. It's very clear the dyes that Governor Morrissey is banning. All of them are linked in very, very strong studies to ADHD and to cancers. So we're seeing an explosion in cancers in this country. We're seeing an explosion in infertility. Teenagers today have 50% of the sperm count and 50% of the testosterone of 68-year-old men. Girls are now reaching puberty 6 years earlier than they're supposed to, between 10 and 13 years old. Other countries are not experiencing this. We've seen autism rates go from 1 in 10,000 when I was a kid, 1 in 10,000, 1 in every 36 kids today, 1 in 22 boys in California. And the obesity rates have gone up to, as I said, 50% in adults, or 70% overall obesity or overweight, from 3%. In Japan, it's still 3% because they're not eating these foods. They have nutrition programs in the foods where they have a nutritionist in every school who's in charge of the menu, and they eat healthy foods so they don't have these illnesses. And we, when I was a kid, we were the healthiest, most robust people in the world. And today we're the sickest. 60% of Americans, from 3% when my uncle was president, 60% today have chronic disease. And it's not happening in other countries. During COVID, we had 16% of the COVID deaths in this country. We only have 4.2% of the world's population. So we literally did worse than any country in the world. And when you ask CDC why are Americans dying from COVID at higher rates than any place on earth when we have all the money, they said, well, it's not our fault. It's because Americans are so sick. That is their fault. And we're going to change that. But they said that according to CDC, the average American who died from COVID had 3.8 chronic diseases. So they had diabetes, they had obesity, and maybe asthma and one other thing. And it was the chronic disease really that was killing them. Healthy kids were not dying. Healthy Americans were not dying of COVID. It was a disease that attacked the sick. And that's true with all infectious diseases. If we can make ourselves, the biggest thing that we can do for pandemic preparedness is to make ourselves healthy again. We're now 74% of American kids cannot qualify for military service because of chronic disease. So this is affecting our national security. It's destroying our economy. It is existential for this country. And we need to change it. And I am so happy that you have a visionary governor in this state and that West Virginia is now leading the way. And I want to commend Governor Morrissey, not only for his vision, but for his courage, because it's very, very hard. And for these legislatures who are pushing this bill, all of them are getting calls every day from the big soda companies, the sugar soda and the fake food companies. We're not eating food, we're eating food-like substances. And I'll tell you what happened. I was involved in the tobacco litigation back in the late 1980s. And the tobacco companies were, at that time, the cash richest companies in the world. But they saw the writing on the wall. They saw that the consumer base was turning against them. People were stopping smoking, and that they were being prosecuted and sued successfully. Well, they settled those lawsuits, but they also started shifting their resources to diversify their companies. And they went out and they bought the food companies. So by 1994, the two biggest food companies in the world were R.J. Reynolds and Philip Morris, tobacco companies. They took about 10,000 scientists who were all engaged in nefarious ways to make tobacco more addictive. And they put them to work making food addictive, inventing ingredients in the laboratory.
Crazy.
That would make it do things to food. For example, they found out that food that you fill up, your brain tells you your stomach is filled, in part by counting the number of times you chew. So they started adding softeners to our food so that you wouldn't chew so much. So you'd have a sense that you're unsatisfied, you're insatiable, you're never full, so that you keep pouring it down your mouth. And that's just one of the many things they did. They added sodium and sugar. Sugar is as addictive as crack, and it's almost as bad for you. It kills you just as surely, it just kills you a little slower. It feeds tumors, it destroys your body, it destroys your brain. And they added more and more sugar to make us addicted to their products. And these companies are now, just like the tobacco companies were, are flooding into the offices of your state leaders and legislatures of the governor. And they're telling him he's making a big mistake. They're telling him that they're going to stop writing checks, that they're going to run people against them. that they're going to destroy their political careers. And Governor Morrissey was telling me that he met with the soda companies this week. And they said to him, you need to be educated about this. And they said, you know, food stamps is not a nutrition program. He came in with his Diet Coke and he said, is there anything nutritious in here? And they were like, no, of course not. But food stamps is not a nutrition program. And he said, it's called SNAP, Supplementary Nutrition Assistance Program. It's supposed to be nutrition. It's not supposed to be food-like substances that are actually poisoning us. And so, but it takes a lot of courage to stand up to these companies the same way that it did to stand up to big tobacco. But these men and women, your leaders, Governor Morrissey, is standing up for you. And we all need to stand up for ourselves and take care of ourselves. It's an act of patriotism. If you love this country, you need to start taking care of yourselves. And I want to I'm also say this, that food companies all came and met with me 2 weeks ago. And they're scared of me, but they're more scared of Governor Morrissey. Because what they said, and the reason they said, well, tell us what you want, we're going to do it. And they said, but stop these governors from passing these laws, because we don't want a patchwork where West Virginia and California are banning food dyes, and we have to make special products for those states. So they're terrified of this, of what you're doing. And the message that I want to give to the country today and to all the other governors is get in line behind Governor Morrissey and apply for a waiver to my agency, and we're going to give it to you. But that's the way we're going to win this.
This is an amazing speech. I didn't expect it to be, I didn't expect it to go so long. But that is an amazing speech. And Kennedy can break it down so eloquently, so quickly, and talk about the various health issues that we are facing and how we got here. And not only that, but what we're going to do to make it better. You never think of it like that. The food stamps are not a nutrition. It's not about nutrition, which is sad. And it could be in it, and it should be. And we are just months in with January, February, March. We're 3 months in here. Kennedy's got some time. He's got at least 3 years and 9 months. He's got a lot of time here, and he's making some very, very big moves. And once again, I could not be happier with the work that he's done so far, getting to work every day for our children, for our families, for our health, even calling out the governor a little bit, which is pretty funny. You look like you ate Governor Morrissey. That's a great line.
I want to thank all of you. I want to thank the Maha moms who got me into this office.
Yep.
And President Trump was giving me free rein to do anything I need to do
Amen.
To make America healthy again. And
go.
then I particularly want to thank Governor Morrissey and these legislators for their courage, for their vision, for their willingness to stand up to the most powerful industries in the world, to stand up for the people of West Virginia and set an example, a shining example for the rest of the country. Thank you all very much.
Amazing grace, amazing speech by an amazing man. So I'm gonna try to find that whole thing. Man, I don't know what the quality will be like, but I definitely want to put that whole thing up on my YouTube, and at least put Kennedy's part there in the YouTube, and maybe in book 2. Book 2 is already coming along pretty well. Kennedy and Trump. That will probably just follow them through 2025, because I've already got about 50 pages already just of the second book. New book should be out hopefully I'm waiting for my proof copy to make sure the formatting and everything looks okay. One more read through, and that one is done. Then a few other book surprises But I think one of the best ways to end this, and I didn't really even think I was going to find any new stuff, so I was very happy to find that here. But I also found this U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Again, this is a great YouTube channel. They haven't posted too much stuff, but the stuff they post there is really good. And if you're like me and you want to keep up with anything and everything that RFK Jr. is doing, this is a great YouTube channel to follow there at HHS. Very simple. You'll find it. You'll find some garbage, some nonsense where they go after him on other channels, but you'll find this one, and you'll know it when you see it. So I'm gonna play this one. This is a 6-minute clip. The World Down Syndrome one. This looks like a shorter version of the one that I played before that I found on the I almost said TikTok. I almost said Twitter, on X. So, but this one is a new one that I have not seen, have not looked at. So let's go ahead and watch that a little bit. It always helps when you have the volume on too. That's usually good. I don't need that, but let's go 6 minutes. See what we got here.
Hey, everybody. I'd like to share with you a paradox that I've encountered here in Washington, D.C. as the new secretary of HHS. Our department is filled for the most part with competent, conscientious public servants, and yet the agency has been inefficient as a whole. Over the past 4 years during the Biden administration, HHS's budget increased by 38%, and its staffing increased by 17%, but all that money has failed to improve the health of Americans. In fact, the rate of chronic disease and cancer increased dramatically as our department has grown. Our lifespan has dropped, so Americans now live 6 years shorter than Europeans. We are the sickest nation in the world, and we have the highest rate of chronic disease. The U.S. ranks last among 40 developed nations in terms of health, but we spend 2 to 3 times more per capita than those nations. As secretary, I now understand why all this money is not improving our health. HHS is a sprawling bureaucracy that encompasses literally hundreds of departments, committees, and other offices. You know how bureaucracies work. Every time a new issue arises, they tack on another committee. This leads to tremendous waste and duplication, and worst of all, a loss of any unified sense of mission. The resulting pandemonium has injured American health and damaged department morale. When I arrived, I found that over half of our employees don't even come to work. HHS has more than 100 communications offices and more than 40 IT departments and dozens of procurement offices and 9 HR departments. In many cases, they don't even talk to each other. They're mainly operating in silos. Sometimes these sub-agencies work at cross purposes with each other. Some of these little fiefdoms, for example, are so insulated and territorial that they actually hoard our patient medical data and sell it for profit to each other. Instead of remedying the chronic disease crisis, perverse incentives have administrators checking boxes and grading their own homework while public health declines. A few isolated divisions are neglecting public health altogether and seem only accountable to the industries that they're supposed to be regulating. In one case, defiant bureaucrats impeded the secretary's office from accessing the closely guarded databases that might reveal the dangers of certain drugs and medical interventions. I have some good news, though. As part of President Trump's DOGE workforce reduction initiative, we're going to streamline HHS to make our agency more efficient and more effective. We're going to imbue the agency with a clear sense of mission to radically improve the health of Americans and to improve agency morale. We're going to eliminate an entire alphabet soup of departments and agencies while preserving their core functions by merging them into a new organization called the Administration for a Healthy America, or AHA. We have 2 goals. The first is obvious: to save the taxpayer money by making our department more efficient. And the second is to radically improve our quality of service. I want to promise you now that we're going to do more with less. No American is going to be left behind. Our key services delivered through Medicare and Medicaid, the FDA and CDC, and other agencies will enter a new era of responsiveness and a new era of effectiveness. We're going to consolidate all of these departments and make them accountable to you, the American taxpayer, and the American patient. These goals will honor the aspirations of the vast majority of existing HHS employees who actually yearn to make America healthy. 28 great divisions will become 15. The entire federal workforce is downsizing now, so this will be a painful period for HHS as we downsize from 82,000 full-time employees to around 62,000. We're keenly focused on paring away excess administrators while increasing the number of scientists and frontline health providers so that we can do a better job for the American people. We're going to streamline our agency and eliminate the redundancies and invite everyone to align behind a simple, bold mission. I want every HHS employee to wake up every morning asking themselves, what can I do to restore American health today? I want to empower everyone in the HHS family to have a sense of purpose and pride and a sense of personal agency.
Okay, I'm just gonna sign off right here, but I am gonna play just the last of RFK Jr. speaking. God bless you all, and remember, Jesus Christ loves you. Have a great weekend. More to come very soon, as always.
And responsibility to this larger goal. We're going to save taxpayers nearly $2 billion a year, and we're going to return HHS to its original commitment to public health and gold standard science. I want this agency to be once again a revered scientific institution that once made HHS the envy of the world. I want everyone who works here to be proud of this agency, to be proud of their work, to feel a renewed inspiration and their own sense of responsibility for our success in restoring America to good health. Streamlining HHS is part of a shift to new priorities, especially ending the chronic disease epidemic with clean water, safe food, effective medicine, good science, radical transparency, and a healthy environment. I think most Americans would agree with me that throwing more money at healthcare isn't going to solve the problem, or it would have solved it already. Obviously, what we've been doing hasn't worked. That's why we're making this dramatic overhaul. But the real overhaul is even bigger. The real overhaul is improving the health of the entire nation to make America healthy again.